Now, the Watcher series on Netflix took the world by storm, but it left some with more questions than answers. Like, who was the Watcher? Why didn't they reveal who the Watcher was? And what other thriller shows can we watch after the Watcher? Stay tuned as we tell you all the best theories and give you more info about the Watcher show.
Dearest new neighbor at 657 Boulevard.
Let's start with how did the series end? The series had quite an ambiguous ending that left many wondering how the show ended. The Watcher is loosely based on a real-life story of 657 Boulevard. It follows the story of Nora and Dean Brannick, who receive threatening letters that tell them they shouldn't make any adjustments to their new home. Most of the show we see is fiction, but many details were taken from their real-life counterparts, especially the show ending without revealing who the Watcher is, just like in real life where the case remains unsolved. At the show's end, Nora and Dean realize their private investigator has been hospitalized with cancer. Here we got the classic Netflix twist as she admitted she was the Watcher. She said she bought the home but had to sell it after realizing she couldn't afford it. When her husband died, she found out that he was hiding $1 million, and now she could afford her dream home again. This is where she devised an elaborate plan to scare the Brannicks out of the house. At her funeral, the Brannicks are told that she never actually lived in the house. She tried to give the family some closure as she never could find out who the Watcher was. Now this double twist is amazing to the end of the series, as it leaves the viewer wondering, can you ever really know who your neighbors are?
I'm still watching.
Next, who could have been the real Watcher? For starters, it could be John Graff. Now, there are a lot of possible culprits in the show, but John Graff is the one we suspect the most. He was a former resident of 657 Boulevard, murdered his family, and vanished. Now, when we meet John, or, well, a character that looks exactly like him, it is the present day, and he now goes by the alias William Bill Webster, and he's now part of the Westfield Preservation Society. Now, John is a suspect for numerous reasons. He's able to commit great acts of violence, and since he lived at 657 Boulevard, he knows the home's layout. When we see Dean and Nora discovering the tunnel underneath the house, we also see the mysterious character underneath the robe is John. Well, actually William. We also hear him whisper to one of his fellow Westfield Preservation members, Pearl Winslow, that they're on to us. Now, we don't see a lot of John on screen, but when we do, he speaks of a cycle of crisis that occurs every 40 years. This resembles the wording that the Watcher used in his first letter, in which he says the second coming for the house. His knowledge of the house, fixation on preserving Westfield, and criminal past have made him a key candidate for the Watcher title.
It's greed, Mr. Graff. Greed that brought you here.
Now, another character who might be the Watcher is Pearl Winslow. Now, Pearlie is one passive-aggressive woman who doesn't have a sliver of trust for the Brannicks. She's one of the more dedicated members of the Westfield Preservation Society, alongside her husband, Jasper. She wants to keep Westfield architecture traditional, and her spurn for any changes to 657 Boulevard made her quite a suspicious character. We know Pearl is in cahoots with John, but we're uncertain if she knows his true identity. With her knowledge about the secret tunnel, her relationship with Webster, and her intentions throughout the series being quite clear, many fingers point to her that she might be the Watcher. She's never really forgiven of suspicion, and a lot of fans have the theory that she is the Watcher.
I'm thinking about ripping out the dumbwaiter.
You wouldn't dare.
Next, maybe the Watcher is Roger Kaplan. Roger Kaplan is a high school teacher, and this is all the evidence we need. Officers, arrest him! Now, Roger was introduced in the latter half of the series. He's an architecture enthusiast who has a detailed understanding of the house's layout, as one of his childhood friends lived at 657 Boulevard. We also see him at the open house before it was sold to the Brannicks. Here, he displays his appreciation for the house's 100-year-old history. Like the Watcher, he wants to preserve the house's rich history. Now, we see Kaplan's popular classroom assignment, where he tells the learners to write anonymous letters of adoration to residents of their favorite homes. The Ode to a House is precisely what the Watcher does. Now, Roger does deny the accusations made by the Brannicks. He can still be the Watcher as he has the motives and methods to pull off this mysterious character known as the Watcher. Now, he might not be as suspicious as Pearlie Girlie, he's still one of the more suspicious characters in the show. One of the best theories is that the Watcher is more than one person. The only thing worse than one Watcher is Watchers. And with so many people out to get the Brannicks, this theory isn't as far-fetched as one might think. Multiple people want the Brannicks to sell their home, and as the case continues to unfold, more and more people become aware of the Brannicks case. Thanks to Karen Calhoun's article, everyone knows that the family has received threatening letters, and since the public is in the loop, anyone can copy the Watcher's ideas and send letters to the Brannicks. If Dean could write a convincing letter in the Watcher's style after Nora told him to leave the house, anyone can. But we don't think the children from the school are the real Watchers. The final great theory is 657 Boulevard turns you into the next Watcher. Now, we know that the Watcher is just an alias, and anyone can take on the role of this mysterious character. The last scene of the show shows John and Andrew looking at the house. They're both previous owners of the home, and both claim that they've received letters from the Watcher. We see Dean at the end of the show. He's been driven to obsession and paranoia. When he returns to 657 Boulevard, he tells the new owners that he'll be watching. Nora is also shown at the end of the series. She talks to the new owner Karen and tells her she'll be watching.
But I will be watching.
We see that the new owner receives threatening letters, and Karen is chased out of the house by a masked figure. Now, this might be the same Watcher that terrorized Nora and Dean, but the chances for it to be Nora and Dean are also quite high. No matter what theory interests you the most, the show deliberately ended on an obscure note, and we love it. What other shows should you watch if you like The Watcher? Now, one great show to watch is The Assassination of Gianni Versace.
I don't see something nice. I see the man behind it.
Now, the show might be named after the famous designer Gianni Versace, but it mostly follows his murderer, Andrew Cunanan. The show was made by Ryan Murphy, the same creator as The Watcher, and both follow the themes of stalking, this time just from the stalker's perspective.
The women we designed for, they're fearless. They're not ashamed.
This is not the same.
Is Brandon Versace braver than the man?
So one of the best films to watch after The Watcher will be Red Eye.
Right now, he's on his way to your hotel, and that's why you need to keep listening.
No, I don't think I don't have to do that.
Yes, you do, if you want your dad to live.
Cillian Murphy and Rachel McAdams star in this amazing film. It follows the story of a hotel manager trapped on a red-eye flight with a terrorist. Unlike Watcher, viewers know that Jackson Ripner is the main antagonist, and entice you to continue watching. Now, not to give too many spoilers, the Wes Craven film is a must-watch for anyone wanting to watch more thriller-like shows like The Watcher. Now, another film to watch is The Stepfather.
Expelled? You're kidding.
I'm sorry, Mom.
Girls don't get expelled.
The 1980s had a few great horror films, but The Stepfather is one of the most underrated films from then. This is a psychological thriller with a wonderfully thrilling performance by Terry O'Quinn, who you might know from his popular role as John Locke in the series Lost. This movie made way for a few sequels, but not a single one is as great as the original.
Meaning all the progress we made with Stephanie is just thrown away, just thrown away by you!
Finally, you have to watch Watcher.
I heard the screaming from the bedroom.
Both shows have similar names, and Watcher follows the same themes as The Watcher, with stalking being its main premise. Like The Watcher, the show will have you on the edge of your seat. Watcher follows the story of a young actress, Julia, who moved to Bucharest with her husband. She feels isolated from everyone around her, which is only made worse by her mysterious neighbor.
Every time I look over there, he's just standing in his window, and it's like he's staring right at me.
Who watches her every move. Micah Monroe does very well in this role and captivates the audience by showing Julia's feelings of loneliness and fearfulness. This is a must-watch for fans of The Watcher, and it will keep you interested throughout the entire movie. This is all the time we have for the video. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comments. Let us know who you think the real Watcher is and what other shows you'll be watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you want more content like this. See ya!